Welcome, welcome, one and all. Welcome to Night Fright. I'm your host, Brent Holland, and welcome to the show. Get the toffee going. Get the coffee going. Not the tea. You can get toffee if you want. Get the coffee going. Get the tea going. Get a beverage of your choice going. Settle in, relax. For the next 2 hours, we're going to take you on one heck of a ride. 5 years ago, 5 years already, wow, I had interviewed a wonderful woman, one of the bravest women I know. Her name is Chrstine Corda. Chrstine Corda underwent a fully sanctioned, are you ready for this, folks? Exorcism by the Vatican. Yeah, the Vatican fully sanctioned an exorcism. We're going to get into that tonight. You better believe it. You want to call in and ask Chrstine some questions? No problem. Brent Holland Show via Skype. Brent Holland Show. We're going to catch up with Chrstine and find out what's been happening in her life for the past 5 years. I want to welcome Chrstine back right away, but this is going to be a very heavy show, folks. Like last week's show, we're going to go in very heavy directions, very deep, profound, perhaps disturbing content. I just want you to be aware, and if you're a parent listening in with your kids, use discretion. By all means, use discretion. Chrstine, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for coming back. 5 years. I can't believe it's gone by already.
Hi, Brent. How are you? Thank you so much
for
having me back. There's no Skype camera on me, so I am so much more comfortable.
That's great. No problem.
How have you been?
Good. Things are good. I'm living in a place called Kingston, Ontario now. We had moved from Sudbury. And so I'm in Kingston, Ontario. We broadcast out of here every week. And things are good. I'm glad to hear that things are good with you. I'm going to ask you right away, though, Chrstine.
Has it been 5 years?
I can't believe.
Where did it go? Tell me that.
Yeah, I don't know. But if you look at me, I'll show you where it is. Because I think it's around my waist.
I was just going to say, I think around my eyes. That's pretty much where it's gone. But,
heavy subject matter.
Yeah, it is heavy. It is. It's a little bit difficult to talk about, but it's worth it.
I understand. And as always, Chrstine, if you don't want to talk about anything, that's no problem. And
thank you.
You're very welcome. And if you need a break or anything, that's no problem. I can sing for the folks. Chrstine, is evil real?
Is evil real? That's a good question. I think that I have struggled with that answer for years. Obviously, having a Roman Catholic exorcism and sanctioned at that, I've had a lot of questions of that in my mind. And I think that a better question to answer, just to get a little more difficult for you here, but it'll be worth it. A question that I've asked myself is, where does evil come from? Because to say evil is real, 100% yes. But more what I have struggled with is where it comes from. And in my opinion, if you don't mind me sharing,
not at all, please.
It comes up a lot because I do psychic readings for people, and I get a lot of different people. Obviously, if you're a psychic, you get people who are seeking things, and this comes up a lot. But evil comes from, or is the result of, decisions that people make, and the results of our decisions create energy, and the energy attracts beings of a lower vibration, and it's just literally like the law of attraction. So before I go any further with that, yes, evil is real, and then where it comes from. I think in the last 5 years, really God has shown me that evil is not so much as a source from hell, but as a result of people's decisions, Well,
let's go there right away then. Now, let's go back several years to the point where somebody in the Catholic Church decided that you were possessed, that there was evil spirits in you, and opted to give you as a source of, or a solution, if you will, a Roman Catholic exorcism. What was going on in your life?
There were manifestations, but let's explore that for a minute, because this has been a lifelong battle of mine, and not just, because my head spun, but just psychologically.
You're funny.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of green slime going on as well, but it was mostly psychological. Think for a minute, and I'll ask your listeners to think for a minute what it would feel like if I said to you, Brent, you're evil. Brent, you had a terrible childhood of dysfunction, and as a result, even though you were a little kid, you are now evil, and I have to go to your home, or you have to come to this hall over here, which I'm not going to get into the location where I went, and I have to cast something out of you. Think about how that would make a person feel, especially somebody who's a victim of abuse or dysfunction. Let's just put it as dysfunction.
How old were you, Chrstine, when this happened?
When I was as a child, it was in my childhood. It was just a collective accumulation of dysfunction. And as I was saying before, I have to take notes because, between premenopause and just my mind, it'll all come out at once and we won't know what the hell's going on. But, when you have a lower vibration, it attracts lower entities. If you want to be close to God, you want to raise your vibration. It just is a law of physics. It's a law of attraction. So growing up, there was dysfunction, there was alcoholism, there was abuse. There were people around me, as a result of their life's decisions, made a decision to follow entities that may or may not have existed. But in their mind, they existed, so that was what mattered, because if you believe something, it matters more than if the thing is real or not. It can carry a lot more weight. So that led to a lot of spiritual interference, and which led to a lot of spiritual harassment, I guess. And when the energy attracts entities, a lower energy that we have attracts entities. It's just the entities that come around will then continuously try to break us down. And abuse makes it easier for an entity to break a person down. And that ultimately those entities, and hopefully not plural, they can take over some parts of us, or they can take over all of us. But it all comes down to energy. So, that's what happened. I mean, I know that sounds kind of like too much information or something.
Nope.
But I was reading an article on Yahoo.
Sure.
And the name of the article, sorry, probably shouldn't have said where I was reading it, Catholic Demon Making. And you said, right when you asked me that question, you said, someone in the Catholic Church decided that I was possessed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having that job in the Catholic Church to tell people they're possessed?
Yeah, I don't know what the qualifications for that would be, but no idea. I don't think I'd be qualified, that's for sure. Let's break down some of that abuse we just talked about, Cam.
Utmost respect for anyone in the Catholic Church. Let me just say that, because it does sound like I slam the Catholic Church a lot, but I do have the utmost respect for people who take on that job or that role in life, because that's terrible to do that.
Chrstine Corda is our guest tonight, folks. www.nightfrightshow.com. Just click on tonight's guest information, her picture. That'll take you right to a spot where she has her very own talk radio show on blogtalkradio.com, and it's called Kiss Me, I'm Psychic. So there you go, folks, and we'll be talking about that some more in the very, very near future. In the show. Also, Chrstine, would you be open if people called in to do a quick reading on them?
Sure.
Okay, there you go, folks. What an offer from Chrstine Corda. Brent Holland Show. If you want to call in, Chrstine will do a quick reading on you. Now, Chrstine, if you're just joining us, if you're a few minutes late joining us from the intro of the show, Chrstine underwent a fully sanctioned Roman Catholic exorcism. She endured horrible abuse, which we're about to get into now. And the reason why I mention that is because if you're a parent out there, this might be the time to send the kids out of the room, because it's going to be pretty explicit. But I want to go in this direction right away because I want to get this out of the way so we can get on to where Chrstine is now. But without a solid foundation of what she's gone through, it might leave people wondering how we got from A to B to C to D, etc. Let's talk about some of that abuse, Chrstine.
Sure.
Pretty horrific stuff.
Well, yeah, and if you want to get into it, when you have people, and I'm not going to name names, and people can take that as they will. I can't defend anything that I do or don't do. But when you get into people who decide in their lives that they're going to worship an entity, whether it's a good entity or a bad entity, their behavior follows. And so when you have people there are devil worshippers in the world. Let's just say it. Okay, that's the elephant in the room. Yes, there are. I'm not here to say whether it's real or not, whether the entities are real, if those people summon them or not, but they are very, very good, and I use that word loosely. They're very good at depriving children of the things that children need in order to make, and this is going to sound really conspiratorial. It really is. This is going to put a letter on my head of a big C, saying this woman is crazy for conspiracy. But there are groups that are very, very known, not publicly or on TV, but they're very known to break children down. Any cult, if you look at any cult, it doesn't even have to be a dark cult. It can be the cult of Gumby or something. They can break children down to form the children the way that they want the children to be, in society.
Right.
So that's what happened to me.
We have a caller online. Caller, are you there? We're getting a lot of hum from you.
Yeah, I hear that.
Is that any better?
Oh, that's a lot better.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, my friend. What's your name and where are you from? Just first name's fine.
Jim. I'm in Utah.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
You have a question for our guest tonight?
Well, I I guess as soon as you said readings, I was kind of interested in that. I didn't know what kind of reading you meant, but I guess I just thought I'd call and see if I didn't know if I'd have to wait or what. So.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'll leave it up to Chrstine. Chrstine, do you want to give Jim a reading?
Sure. What were you looking to have? What question did you have? And just leave it at really basic questions, or I can see what I feel and do it that way. It's totally up to you. Okay.
Well, I'm pretty sensitive to the spirits and the other side, and so I've just, especially in the last few years, it's been more difficult because something happened in my life that made me more vulnerable, made my aura or energy weaker,
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been struggling, to really have a life and function the way I'd like to since that time. And I knew that if I made this particular mistake, that would probably be the case. And so I guess I've just been wondering if there's any way out for me, because it's like every day it's a more of a battle with the unseen or the whatever you want to call entities or whatever. So
can I just tell you, Jim, what I feel or sense in listening to your voice and just sitting here? I don't really know, sensing you, I guess is the way to put it. You had some problem within your family. It doesn't feel like it was a family from your childhood, but it feels like maybe something that was very happy and then was suddenly unhappy. And I feel like there's a need in your life right now for, that's just a given, I suppose, but I get a sense of something with family, that you had a tragedy with family. Let me go back just for 1 second, because I get to talking about myself and I have to be careful how I do this, also that it's on the radio. So does that make, I just can't blurt out something like, oh, look. Let me ask you. I'm going to ask you, I don't want to say too much. Did this have to do with your family? A breakup in your family?
No, it was more of something in my personal life that triggered this more. I already had some health problems, and I had to, eat right and everything in order to hold the kind of the health problems I had at bay before, to keep it from, kicking in, triggering, because, I was playing basketball and everything, though. But I just knew that I had to have a pretty clean life, and, but yeah, going as far as my childhood goes, I did have there was some problems because my mom was a real drama type person, and then my dad was just the kind of guy that tried to toe the line, So my dad didn't really know how to handle my mom. He just kind of tried to patch things up and get us kids to deal with it. You know what I mean? And she could be a real sweetie, but then it was kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Then she'd go into her, I know
Depression.
and I know she had PMS real bad and stuff like that. She'd be a whole different person.
Yeah, that's hard to deal with in and of itself.
Yeah.
Basically, what I feel is that, and again, this is on the radio, so I'm hesitating to give too much information, just to make sure that it's okay with you. What I say will be just basics.
Fine.
There is a female influence around you, but that's really what I see is a need to get inside of yourself with like a deep meditation. Because I see that you can't sleep. That's what I sense. There's just like juggling, that you're juggling a whole bunch of things. And what I get is that a lot of that is coming from the past. There's an image of a taller man, but I think that he's tall in my image because he was sort of stronger. He was not quite as physically tall as he just was something that you lacked, something that hurt you very much. And then there's a feminine energy. So those two energies, the images that I get, tell me to say to you, it might be a good idea to get more within yourself and look at what things that people did to you. But not only Jim.
Well, I don't know if this will help at all, but the thing that I was alluding to early, like around 2010, that changed my life was a sexual thing, because I kept myself, for me it was really important to wait for certain things until I was married, and I'm still single, and I made a big mistake for me, and it was kind of something that just hit me. I didn't see it coming, and it
Yes.
totally changed my energy. This girl that came, because she was coming from a different place, she was, she didn't have a problem with that kind of behavior, and I was weak at that time for whatever, and just things happen, so you get the drift.
I know what you're saying, and I didn't want to say that because I don't want to say that on the radio, but thank you for sharing that. But what I was wanting to say, Jim, is that when things like that happen to us, what you have to do is you have to look at yourself, sort of separate yourself from that blame. Because it happens to every single person. If somebody abuses us in any way, shape, or form, somewhere inside of us, we carry that blame. And when you carry that blame, you start to attract people and situations in your life that you are seeking to fix. Because you feel like you never fixed it before, so you have to keep going through that karmic loop. It's like if I tell you I hate you, and then you walk away and you hate yourself because of what I told you. You know what I mean? So you're perpetuating the wrong that they did to you just by believing that somewhere along the line you deserved it. And I'm going to tell you right now, you didn't deserve it. The happiness that you feel like is eluding you, you deserve. You totally 100% deserve it. And maybe there wasn't very many people that told you do.
Yeah, I think there's some things in my childhood that definitely stuck, but the thing is I experience things very physically, and so that's where I feel like I'm in a rut. I don't know how to get out of it. Even you can probably, like you said, my voice. You can hear my voice is not
sad. Your voice is sad.
Weaker. Yeah, it's because I can't do the things I could do before physically, because I got all these symptoms.
After a while.
It's like MS,
Yeah.
I can't, run and do things like I did before. Like I'm just slower. You know what I mean?
When you have emotional pain, everything is connected. Our spirit, our mind, our body, our energy centers, however we want to term it. It's all semantics. People can call it a soul. I could call it an aura, whatever. When you have something that happens to you, the damage just doesn't happen to your mind. It doesn't just happen to your body. It happens to everything. So when I said before to look within, I know that sounds like probably like oh yeah, okay, big stock answer, but it's not a stock answer. It's very, very true. I don't want to say who it was. I probably just blurted it out. I had a very abusive father, and in 2008, I was an extremely fat woman. I'm not really skinny now, but you know what happened to me is I was hating on myself because of the abuse that happened to me from him, mainly. And when I found meditation and I started to use and hone the abilities that God gave me, what I learned is to sit down, meditate, and look in the mirror and look at every single aspect of myself. Because somewhere along the line, I said to myself, Chrstine, you deserve that treatment, and you deserve to keep yourself suffering just as your father kept you suffering. He's been dead for over 10 years, but I kept it going. So for me to say to forgive yourself, you didn't do anything wrong, but to let that go, because somewhere inside of you you're holding on to that. Does that make sense, Jim?
Yeah, it does. I've had a hard time with forgiveness too, forgiving others.
Forget about the people. Forget about who it was. That's in your heart. Nothing that we can do when we're young, and even when we're old, nothing that we do deserves anyone abusing us in any way, shape, or form. So when you can do that, and you can say to yourself, Jim, look in the mirror and say, Jim, and you'll probably laugh, Jim, you're a good guy. You didn't deserve it. Don't hold on to it. Don't hate yourself anymore, because I feel like that's sort of what's keeping you back. You have trouble sleeping. You're thinking all the time. You're rehashing things over and over again. Can't keep a stable relationship. Can't keep that good family. Excuse me if I just belch, because that's really my professional way. Things like that, just to really, really go within and to seek that child within you. If that, I can say that. Be bold. Say that.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know how to really, because I'm kind of I'm kind of, I'm not your average guy in the way I've dealt with these things. I mean, I've got some real, most people probably wouldn't have the kind of symptoms I'm having just from having the same experiences. You know what I mean? So I don't really know where to start as far as actually creating a shift. I mean, yeah, I could go inside and everything, but once, from what I see, I mean, once you've had a shift in your aura or your energy, yeah, there's things you can do to try and improve it, but you're not going to be the same. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I guess that's where I feel defeated.
To prove it? I'm sorry,
Pardon
did
me?
you say to prove it?
No,
defeated.
Oh, defeated, I'm sorry.
defeated. Yeah.
Do you feel any type of entity around you?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel spirits, yeah, quite intensely. I don't see as much as I feel more rather than seeing as much. But sometimes I've seen things, but not as much as I feel.
Yeah, but that's because you're juggling everything, and any weakness. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the devil's at your door, but any weakness that we have, it can be used as a blessing, or it can be used. Wait, let me rephrase that, because then I sound like I'm blaming you, and I'm not. The one thing that I did, Jim, when I defeated the devil, if you will, or the enemy, or the negative entities, is I started to understand how God could teach me through the negativity in my life. In spite of what happened to me, I saw God, and I went through the darkness, and and I came to understand the light that much better. So if you can wake up in the morning, and it's not going to be easy, trust me, and say, thank you, God, thank you, guardians, thank you, guides, show me. Don't be afraid to say, show me. God is not just for the people in the churches. God is for us, every single person on the earth. So say to him, her, them, however you want to believe, show me what you're trying to teach me. Show me what you want me to do. Show me the way out. Show me the way in.
And so that'll help. That can help me deal with the anger too.
Well, anger is a funny thing. You got to feel the anger. You got to feel it. You have to look at it. You have to look at it. You have to acknowledge it, and you have to say, "Hey, this is my anger." You got to determine whether the anger is at others, how much is at others, and how much is at yourself. Because when I looked at my father in my meditations, meditation helps our mind still. It helps our mind go slow down, and those kind of thoughts that fire off constantly, it helps to smooth those over. So when we go within, we can sort of differentiate the feelings. Where was I? Was I mad at my father, or was I mad at myself? And you know what? I found out that I was 90% mad at myself and 10% mad at him, because when people abuse us, especially when we're a child, oh my God, I can't even tell you how angry it makes me when I hear that people have been abused. It wreaks havoc on our lives, and it's not something that you can just get over. It's going to take work. It's going to take love of yourself. And until you recognize the fact that you're angry at yourself for something that you didn't bring on yourself and you didn't do anything wrong, and that's hard to get to that point. It really is hard to get to that point. But there are spirits around you that want to help you get to that point. I can literally feel it.
That's a positive.
I feel like you've...
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Chris. I was going to say that's a positive way to end that particular call, I think, is...
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim, does that feel good for you?
Yeah. I mean, what kind of meditation do you suggest? What do I do?
You know what?
Do you have a
What
website?
I go to YouTube and I look up. I do a lot of chakra meditations. I do those Tibetan. What are they? They're not whistling. Singing bowls and whistling. Singing bowls. There's a lot of guided meditations that you can find. Oh God, the internet is filled with them. I mean, I don't even make them because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
A gentle one, the child within, I would say, would be a good one.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jim, for calling in,
so
and
much.
thanks for sharing with that.
God bless you.
Take care. Bye.
Take care, my friend. Folks, Chrstine Corda's with us tonight. www.nightfrightshow.com. There you will find her coordinates, and you'll be able to go to her website. She also has a daily show. Is that right, Chrstine? It's on every night or once a week?
It was on every night. I'm on Blog Talk Radio. You can find my past shows on Blog Talk Radio.
Kiss me, I'm psychic.
Yeah, but we're going back to every night. My mother is elderly. I shouldn't have said that. So I have to, do a lot. I have a lot of things going on right now where I'm not able to get every night. But it is generally Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and
folks, if you've been listening in, you're just joining us, we're speaking with Chrstine Corda, of course. Chrstine Corda had an incredible experience. Certainly not an experience that every person it's not a typical experience many people would go through. She went through, are you ready? A fully sanctioned Roman Catholic exorcism. Yeah.
But they didn't finish it.
They didn't finish it. We're catching up on 5 years, folks. 5 years ago, Chrstine was on the show, and she's been gracious enough to come back now. She's also ex-psychic. We just did a reading for Jim, and Chrstine is open to doing more readings tonight. We have her for the full 2 hours, so we have a good hour and a half left with Chrstine. Easy way to do this, to contact us, is Brent Holland Show. And that's via Skype, and I'll drag you right into the call, and you can ask Chrstine any questions at all. I want to go back, Chrstine, if it's cool with you. What do you think your father's goals were by worshiping these dark entities? I'll call them that. How's that? And doing all this sexual abuse towards you.
Well, let's just say that I never accused my father of doing anything. It's a world of disclaimers, especially in this beautiful, politically correct, almost to the point of political incorrectness world that we live in. And, it becomes ritualistically, I literally do not remember which person or which people it was. And that was probably for a reason on their part, but also it could have been on my part as well. But just everyday life, my father was not a nice guy. He really was a very abusive man to myself and my mother and my brother. I don't know what the goal is. I don't know. I think that if you read about the devil, if you read about God, you read about the devil, and you read about their personalities, and the devil was up in heaven, and he was wanting to be like God. He was wanting to be something that he wasn't, which meant what? That he was very unhappy with what he was. I don't even want to call it a he. Let's just call it an it.
Okay.
So then he cast himself out of heaven. I don't believe God cast him out of heaven. I believe he jumped. I think he was pushed. I think he jumped. I think he wanted to get the hell out of there. I don't think he liked it. He didn't like himself. So when I see people who say they worship darker entities, I see people who don't like themselves very much. I really do. And if you think about religion, religion, whether it's a good religion or a bad religion takes away what? Religion takes away responsibility from people. And I think that's what it was. I think that it was, I'm going to drink now. I'm going to get drunk now because I don't want to live. I don't want to see what I've become. I don't want to see the dirt that I've dredged into my life and into the life of my children. So, and then I'm going to go worship a devil so that I don't have to take responsibility for my behavior. It's like the people who worship God and they say, the devil has me duped and the devil has ruined my life or the devil made me do it, Like, remember Flip Wilson, the devil made me do it, and all the things in the church of what's happening now, So I think that what they want to accomplish, and I'm sorry for getting long-winded.
Nope, not at all. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell folks and give them a good solid foundation for where we're going to go.
Yeah, I think that people want to get away from taking responsibility. That's why they do it.
Okay, fair enough.
You're not going to inherit the world by worshiping anything.
Have you ever done a reading on yourself? And I'm going to extend that. I'll be more specific, Chrstine. Were you able to feel that perhaps your father might be trying to contact you from the other side to make perhaps retribution, to say he was sorry? Yes. Anything along those lines?
Yes. Yes. And you know what? I can sit here, Brent, and I can say, oh my God, my life has been awful. My life has been horrible. I'm getting older, and my whole childhood was taken away from me. My teenage years, I was homeless. I was going through garbage cans, for crying out loud. To do readings on myself, yes, but it doesn't really work that way. It's like doing an operation on yourself, I think. Okay. Directionally, yes, I can. But now I'm understanding that God is saying to me, everybody does things for a reason. And I have to sit there every night, and I have to say to myself, Dad did this. And this is where it gets really hard. Dad did this. It hurt. But you know what? Dad probably had it done to him. We see stories on the news about children who are abused, and we say, send that sucker away, send the scumbag mother away, and I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, it probably just is a pattern. So that's what you get to learn after a while, and that's what reading, having the psychic abilities and using the cards and the stuff that people are telling me is evil and caused my possession are the very things that have helped me become free, ironically.
Isn't that interesting? The tools have become the Yeah, that's incredible. Chrstine, I wanted to go back and stay on that just for a little bit. When did you first notice that you had psychic abilities?
Oh, ever. I never didn't know. I never, when I turned like 20 something, and people, when I was in my family, people, I mean, literally, my father would take me to I guess I can say it was years ago, a highlight. He used to go watch the games, the highlight games in Milford, Connecticut. And every single time, I didn't go drink or anything, but every time, it was like 10 or 11, and he would say, which one should I pick? And I would literally tell him, pick this, this, and this, and this, and play the Cinquecta or whatever those things you play, because I don't gamble. And you know what? Every single time he would come, I would remember him crying, because he wouldn't pick the ones I told him to. But I remember being psychic when I was a little kid, seeing spirits. They would come out of my wall. People who had died, that I didn't know had died, and even animals, stuff like that. And then when things got darker, when the negativity kind of increased, there was other things that I really didn't want to see, but had no choice.
What did they look like, the other things?
The other things that I saw were reptilian. Sorry to all the UFO fans out there, but they are very alien-looking. A lot of times they would appear to me as people with something wrong with them. There was a capital L-O-T, lot of entities that would appear to me as children, but always if you look and you're questioning if there's a dead child around you, always look at a spirit and look at it. Have that gut feeling about it. If there's something missing, if there's an ear missing or an eye missing or they have one leg. I know that sounds kind of weird, but there's always something lacking because they can only imitate us to a certain extent. So, very snake-like. There was one that I don't like to talk about how they look because I feel like that acknowledges them and it gives them, it gives them attention, but ugly. They smell. And if they're around, you can be an atheist, or you can be a frolicking through the meadow type of a woman or guy, and you're going to feel it because the negativity and the dismay and the hopelessness that you feel and fear is something that those kind of spirits emanate. There's fear underlying everything, but very reptilian, very, very like rotted flesh. Like a corpse type of thing. But those were just the ones that I saw.
Did they appear to other people that were around you, or were they just specifically just for you, so to speak? And I don't mean that facetiously.
No, that's fine. You're fine. Nothing really offends me. I don't really know, to be honest with you, because I really, psychologically, I still will sit here and I'll say to you, I don't even know if I saw them. Because psychologically, I think really what I wanted to do was protect myself. I say, no, I don't really want to see these. I would have every night, pretty much every night, at 5 after 3. It wasn't even 3 o'clock in the morning. I had like dyslexic demons around me, But it was like 5 after 3. They couldn't even figure out that it was 3 o'clock that they should have been doing it at. And I would wake up and I would see a shape in the closet. I mean, this is like nightmare stuff, And I would wake up and I would have scratches coming down my arm. I would lay there and see scratches appearing, bleeding on my arm. Where do you go when that happens? Who do you call? Especially in the 80s or 70s and 80s. You can't. Back then there was like one paranormal investigator. It was Ed Warren or Hans Holzer. And so I would see the clock. This was not a digital clock. It was one that you wound up and it would go backwards. And the clock would just literally go backwards. Whether or not they appeared to anyone else, I don't, not in my circle, so to speak, to make a really bad pun. Not that I remember. I think, I don't know who you mean. Do you mean my family, or do you mean like friends?
Friends, acquaintances, perhaps even a priest.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I had people who literally, when I was going and petitioning the church for the exorcism, I had a psychiatrist call. Literally, he wouldn't even call me. The exorcist in Milford called me up and said, "This is a psychiatrist that he had worked with," and said he didn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. He was scared. I don't want to swear. I almost dropped the S-bomb. He was scared out of his mind. He was very, very scared. He wouldn't work with me anymore.
Did he give a specific reason?
He said some dead animals were ending up on his step or something like that, and he was having some things that happened in his kitchen. That's all I was told. And he had a small child, so I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. You know, that was horrible. It was horrible for me to deal with because, you know, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't think I have a mean bone in my body. I suppose I do somewhere, but I don't want to hurt people.
Yeah, I don't think it was you. I think I can, you know, you're absolved. Let me put it that way. You're welcome. Certainly not you. This is horrifying stuff. But this is all going to affect your self-esteem as well, right?
Oh, yeah. By far. And what kills me, is when they, I'm sorry, but what kills me is when they do these shows. And I like yell at the TV and I'm like, oh my God, don't go into the place where, I don't want to say the name of the place, but you know the place, we all know the place where they sing and they have a bar and it's supposed to be Satan. I can't even believe that people take it to such an extent that it's not a game. I have dealt with this my entire life. I'm a psychic medium. I pray to God. Christian here. Sorry, no, people don't think I am because I'm a psychic medium, but I am. And I do not take clients who have any type of possession, any type of obsession. I refer them because I know how bad it can get. You know, it can get really bad, and it's very, very real.
Have people come to you and said, I think I'm possessed?
Yes.
Are you able to, because you're psychic, are you able to confirm that?
That's an ethical dilemma for me right there. I have other groups, paranormal groups, who call me, but they wouldn't admit it, who have me read pictures or houses. Demonic entities, when they have succeeded in taking control of a person, I have to say that if I have 2 children, I don't want to put my children in any peril.
Gotcha.
So I will not do it for that one reason alone. They are both very psychic. They both are very learned in how to meditate, how to pray, how to smudge, all those things. But ethically, I don't think I want to push myself out there to diagnose that type of thing. But yes, I can tell.
Understood.
Anybody can tell. Yeah, I bet you could tell. I bet you $100 you could tell.
Are there certain things that perhaps people could be aware of?
You just feel it. Every single one of us is psychic. People come to me for readings, and people say to me, how come you're not telling me when I'm going to meet the tall, dark, and handsome? And I'm like, how come you're asking me? You know what I mean? Why are you giving your control over to me? You know, I'm not here to tell people when they're going to meet tall. Tell me when I'm going to meet tall, dark, and handsome. But we have to take control of our own lives, and yes, we can guide each other, but it's all energetic. It's all energetic, and you know, how can you tell you have a feeling? All of us have a feeling. You can watch TV, or you can be in the store, and you can look at somebody and you can say, oh, there's just something about that person that I don't like. And then you take it from there. You say, what? You start asking yourself. You ask your guides and ask your, see, religion, the churches, the masses, the white masses as well as the black masses, they don't want us to have that knowledge because then it will give us more control over our own lives. And here's more conspiracy with Chrstine. It'll give us more control over our own lives, and it will limit their control over us. And that's why religion tries to dissuade us from embracing the gifts that we have, that every single person of us in this world is psychic. I'm no more psychic than you are.
You're
I just use it more.
Is it what's the word I'm looking for? In the same way that an athlete will exercise to become stronger, the more it is, okay. The more you use your abilities, the stronger you become, so to speak.
Yeah. People say to me, what is it like? And I say it's like playing music by ear. You just don't know how you know, but you know.
But you know. And as a drummer, I can relate to that, and I'm going to tell a drummer joke, folks, because this is a heavy show, and I'm going to just lighten it up for a second. What did the drummer get on his IQ test? Drool. And we'll let it go at that, because you know drummers are all animals.
That was cute.
That's cute. Chrstine, how do you protect yourself? If somebody comes to you and says, I think there's demons around me. There's dark entities. What's the best thing I can do?
Yeah, that's a rough one. That's a rough one because every person is different, and while every person is different, every person is basically the same. When we strive to get close to God, ourselves are stripped away. I think I said that. My grammar was terrible when I just said that, but you know what I mean.
I understand.
When we seek to get closer to God, all that we are is stripped away. Or, well, I want to say this. All that we think we are is stripped away because we're not that great. When I get closer to God, I realize that, wow, I am really lacking. I can flip over a couple of tarot cards, big flipping deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When we want to get closer to God and we want to raise our vibration, we have to strip everything off of ourselves. All the false humility, all the false knowledge that we think we have that's wonderful. We have to really, humility means that we are naked. Not only like clothes-wise, but just the persona that we've created for ourselves. You know, through our fears, our dreams, we are literally made of ego. We are literally just made of ego. So we have to strip that. So I think that when anything negative is attached to us as in an entity, oh wow, when you go to a church and say, pray this off of me, you're giving your control over to someone else. Just like if you walk into a psychic's office, now there's a joke in there somewhere, I'm going to have to think it up. When you walk into a psychic's office and say...
Two psychics walk into a bar? Is that the way it goes? No,
how many psychics does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah.
You know?
It's already done because they're already thinking about it. Something like that, I don't know.
There you go. That was good. That was good. But, you know, as soon as we give over control, and people think that giving control over just means to the negative people, but if you're in a church or you're in with a psychiatrist or with a doctor or whatever, you're giving over that control. And so when somebody says to me, you can't do anything yourself, you read the article on Yahoo. I don't condone Yahoo articles, but I was reading it. It was interesting. We have to take responsibility. How did the demon get around me? What did I do? It's not about blame. It's about taking responsibility and owning up to, gee, I may have done some things that were mistakes. Even if it gets down to the point of, while I know that my abuse happened to me and that it wasn't my fault, I have to take responsibility for what I felt as a result of the abuse. Because until I recognize what I feel, there's no way I'm going to get it. I can't get through it if I don't recognize it.
Who was the first person that came forward and said, you know what, Chrstine, you should really go see a priest. You may be possessed.
Well, that's an interesting question. I've been working on a book. I've been working on a book. What's a book? A book. I have literally been working on a book about what happened to me for like 6 years. I have finished this book 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
I have been approached by a publisher, like 3 publishers. The 3 publishers I was approached by, and I'm going to get to the answer, I promise. It's fun to talk, because I go everywhere and then come back.
Take your time.
It's
Night Fright, baby. We go anywhere. That's fine.
I know. I was here 5 years ago.
I know.
I wasn't allowed to use the word psychic medium to define myself, and that's why I didn't get my book published. Can you imagine? All I was going to go on tour and everything else, book signing and whatnot. They would have paid for the hotels. I mean, geez, I got 2 kids. I've been more or less a single mother for I don't even want to say how long. That was really attractive to me.
No kidding.
But I said no, because I didn't want to sell myself short, and I didn't want to sell myself out.
Boy, that's chutzpah. Way to go.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for appreciating that. I don't want to be the woman who goes and, TV shows have called. You want to come on? Nope. Don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it on your great radio, not your great radio show, but other radio shows that were pretty darn popular. I'm not saying yours isn't, but I mean like nationwide. Nope, not going to do it. Promised myself I wouldn't sell myself out. Wouldn't do it. In 1985, I was working as a nurse's aide. I was like 10. No, I really wasn't 10, but you know.
Good answer.
I was 9. No, I was working as a nurse's aide.
I love your sense of humor,
like,
by the way.
Thank you. I was young. Let's just put it that way. It's very easily verified on the internet. And I was working as a nurse's aide, and I hurt myself. And there was a girl that I worked with, and she was going to healing services. Grayson Vessels, who is out of Waterbury, Connecticut, lovely woman, has had a healing ministry. Giving her a plug because I love her, and that wasn't where it happened. Has had a healing ministry for years, 30 years or so. Went over to a church in Hamden, Connecticut. Again, I'm not going to say locations, not because I don't want to reveal them, but because I don't want curiosity seekers to go anywhere that I mention. And I went there. Hey, let's go on a Friday night. And all I had to do, because I hurt my back lifting a patient, and I was out of work. And I was pretty young. And it was a permanent injury, I might add. So I was limping along. I hurt my back. We went out. That's what we did, at that time. And we were going to these healing masses. And they were nice. They were very uplifting. I liked them. They were very joyful. We went to see this priest, and his name was Father Freddie Alfonso. He's passed away. I was devastated when I found out he was passed away. I think I'm going to send you the letters. Somehow, if I scan them if you want.
Absolutely. I'd love them. Thank you so much for that. I
treasure. And when I met him, I was sitting in the healing mass, and he came over from from Bombay, India. And he was a priest that worked with the deaf and the poor in Bombay, India. I mean, that's sort of like, yeah, of course, that's a terrible place to be, And he knew Mother Teresa.
Wow.
And he was a wonderful man, and I'm going to tear up because I miss him. And he was just like the most gifted person I ever met in my life, ever.
Sounds like he's worth a few tears then.
Yeah, he was, and he was just a wonderful guy. The church was so blessed to have him. The world was so blessed to have him. And he was talking about his work with the deaf and the poor in India. So I'm listening to him, and truth be told, I'm like falling asleep, Nice guy, didn't say anything, didn't do the whole, other type of religious service where the arms are going and everybody's talking in tongues and flying across the room. It was a nice, quiet thing. And then he said, well, I have a healing relic from Garabandal. You have to remember, I was not brought up religiously. Yeah, I was, but not the Catholic religion, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And, so I didn't know. I thought, people said to me, are you Catholic? And I said, I'm Democrat. I don't know. I didn't even know the difference, difference.
I hear you.
I mean, I had no idea. So he said he had a relic from Garabandal, and I don't want to explain what that is, where the Virgin Mary allegedly appeared, like a Medjugorje, one of those miraculous lords, something like that.
Right.
And he was praying with people. And so I got in the line to go up. There was a lot of people. I said, I'm going to go get a blessing. I was going up to these nice little revival meetings, and I was having blessings. People were praying with me. It was wonderful. And I thought, well, let me just go do it again, No craziness, no nothing. Bless you in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So as I was standing there, literally, I started to hear these voices. And before you prescribed for me the Haldol, I understood at the time that I was standing there that, oh my God, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? I don't know, what am I going nuts? Have I gone crazy? And it literally felt like a presence, I don't even want to say somebody, just a presence was standing at my left, on my left side. It got very, very cold. And I mean, when I say cold, I mean like the kind of cold that you can't describe. You just cannot describe it.
Bone chilling. Did it feel malevolent?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. It was swearing. There was voices. I want to say that they were in my head, but they weren't. And I don't know how to better explain that. But the times that I have been psychotic, by the way, there's a difference. I understood that they were voices. I understood I couldn't quite figure out why they were separate from me. I've never really been psychotic. Believe me, I've been through the ringer with psychiatric tests. Oh my God, for years, because the Catholic Church doesn't mess around with possession.
Damn, there's the music.
Okay, that's a good cliffhanger.
Well, actually, it's pretty good. It must be preordained, folks. Chrstine Corda's with us tonight. You do not want to miss the remainder of this 1 hour that we have left. She's right at the point where she's going to be explaining, folks, what led to her exorcism. She's willing to do readings. She's a psychic as well. www.nightfrightshow.com. Click on tonight's guest. I was going to say book cover, soon to be book cover information, and that'll take you right to a place where you can find her coordinates. 6 minutes, folks. We'll be back. Do not go anywhere. I'm Brent Holland from Night Fright. Hang tight, Chrstine. 6 minutes. And welcome back. We're going to jump to it right away. I'm going to cut the music short. There we go. We're back with Chrstine Corda, folks. If you're just joining us, my name is Brent Holland. Welcome to the show, Night Fright. Get the coffee going, get the tea going, or a beverage of your choice going. Sit back, relax. I'm going to give you a very important Skype address right now in case you would like an exclusive reading by Chrstine Corda, who's our guest tonight. She's a psychic. The Skype address is Brent Holland Show. If you just Skype that, I'll drag you right into the call. That's the terminology they use these days. And you can ask Chrstine to do a free reading for you. I mean, how great is that? She's willing to do that. Now, to bring you up to speed, in case you missed the first part of the show, Chrstine Corda went through a fully sanctioned Roman Catholic exorcism, uncompleted. I have to put that little caveat in. Chrstine, just before the break, was at the point where she was talking about when she went into a church for the not the first time in a church, but for the very first time, she became aware of voices around her and surrounding her. And some kind of, I'll call it a demonic entity, standing right next to her. And we're going to pick it up right there, right away, because that's exactly where we left off. Talk about a cliffhanger, eh, folks?
Oh, my God. How awesome was that?
I know. It's preordained, I'm telling you, Chrstine. Thanks for sticking around, by the way, Chrstine, and thanks for sharing this story with everybody.
Oops, drop the call. You'll have to find out next week. Same time, same place. Remember that back in the day when you watched shows and they would do that?
Oh, I hated that. Cliffhanger theater. I remember. I'm just dated myself very badly, but... yeah, Rocket Man and all those guys, they do the same thing.
I mean, nowadays you go on the internet, you can see these things, you can pick up where you left off, and it's like, oh, I remember having to wait a week.
That's right.
Oh, Madonna mia, I'm so old. But
all right, let's go back into the church.
Let's not. Let's just talk about it.
Let's not and say we did. Okay. You're standing there, you're hearing voices. There's a priest in front of you. And I'm thinking there's probably parishioners in there, too. You're there just on a Friday night, if I'm not mistaken, right?
A Friday night in the Italian section of Connecticut at a Catholic church, yeah.
Now, is there a storm outside? Just to, I'm teasing.
There was
fog, too, right? And there were silhouettes everywhere?
I didn't actually hear you.
Was there fog out and there was a storm outside as well?
It was a dark and stormy night.
There you go. You see, folks.
It was.
Yeah. We got to make light of this because this is going to be very
seriously
heavy. Oh, I should warn you, folks, parents out there, once again, you use discretion with this one, okay, please? We're going to get very graphic right now. I'll leave it to you, Chrstine. You go wherever you take us.
I don't know where to go because I've been on, I was on radio with my own radio show. I have to watch certain words that I say, which I've been doing very well. I don't know what is too much.
Don't worry, this is Night Fright.
I don't swear. I mean, I'm not going to swear. But
that's fine. Go ahead and use whatever type of language. You've heard that right. You know, we're dealing with adults tonight, so no problem at all, my friend.
But anyway, so I was standing in the line, and to say that, I want to just reiterate that I really did not have any knowledge about this priest at all. Just to say that, so when people are listening, they can understand that it wasn't something that was set up, hey, let's go see this exorcist this weekend. No, it wasn't like that. It was just, I hurt my back. It was probably going to be permanent, they said, and when you're young and something like that happens to you, it devastates you.
Absolutely.
So there I was standing in the line, and literally can tell you that there was something else there. There was something standing to my left. It was cold. I literally am sitting here like my mind is going, stop talking about it, because it was very, very real. Let me just put it that way.
Any smell associated with it, by the way? Because you had mentioned there was smells before. Any smell associated with this thing?
At that point, yeah, but it was more cold.
Okay.
It was more cold, and I think this is just my sense of things, over the years, is I think that what was happening is that the entities, when there's a demonic entity, not a human entity or a human soul, or I should say essence maybe is better, I don't know. When there's a demonic entity around, they will not, like you see in the movies, they will not show you that they're around just for the heck of it. If you go into a home where you think there are demonic entities, first, don't. I'll say that. But second, if you're gonna,
good advice, yeah.
You should know, everyone should know, that they will rear up their ugly heads when they are threatened. You asked me before, when I see people, when I read for people, I don't give them a tidbit of information here or there. I want to get to the root of things with people. Mm-hmm. I want to get into it with people. I don't want to just sit there and flip some cards and say, oh, here you go, here you go, here you go. I want to figure out for them what's happened in the past, what's blocking them in the future, in the present, and what they can expect to change now in order to change the future. So sometimes the better, I don't want to say the better, but the more productive the readings that I do, literally prior to the people even meeting with me, I will get attacked. I will get attacked because negative entities will not show themselves until they're being threatened. Threatened with expulsion, threatened with get out of here, threatened with the healing of the host.
Okay.
The person that they're attaching to. It's not black and white like on television where it's like 35 minutes later, the demon was gone. But wait, for the sequel, he'll come back. It's not like that. And I think really, literally, people have that idea. I've had people say to me, can you come over my house and get rid of this demon in 25 minutes? I'm like, no. No, but pretty much no. So here I was standing. Yeah. Standing there, and I think the cold that I did see, I got to the original statement. The cold was that it was draining the energy. It was trying to manifest.
I see.
And cold is a sign of something trying to, I think it's a sign of something trying to manifest or something there and draining you, draining the air. I don't really know. Actually, that's an interesting thing. Yeah. But the words that I heard, Brent, I sound like an absolute insane woman sitting here talking like this. And I realize I'm very aware of how I sound, believe me.
I think you have a lot of bravery and a lot of courage and a lot of chutzpah. There's the word I keep coming back to.
We're all going to be dead someday, right? So what the heck? It's not going to matter if I talk about it. If I talk about it and it helps two people, then I've done a pretty darn good job in my life,
That's the way I feel, too. Good for you.
But, and that's the only reason I'm talking about it, because trust me, I don't want to talk about it. But if it helps somebody, then that's a good thing. So to say that it was manifesting because it was digging its heels in. But to say, I could swear like a sailor. I come from the city. I've been homeless. I've been, when I was a kid, I used to run away. So I've been around a little bit. And I'm not a genteel, as much as you think I am. I know I come across that way. But, I'm pretty nitty-gritty when it comes down to that. The words that were coming out of, not my mouth, but I don't know how to put it because it wasn't my head. It was not coming from me. I would like blush for the rest of eternity if I ever said them. It was disgust. It was despicable. The fear that I felt, the absolute dread standing there. I can't even, there's not enough adjectives to describe. I would have to get my thesaurus out in order to describe it. And even then, I can't fully do it. And I somehow deep inside of myself knew that it really wasn't me afraid. But you can't, when you have that possession, obsession, I think I'll say obsession,
Okay.
that feels more comfortable. You can't really differentiate. The problem that happens is you start to be very unable to differentiate between what's your feelings and what that entity's feelings are. That's a very dangerous place to be. Mm. And so I was standing there, oh my God, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what the heck? I don't hate God. I don't hate this priest. They hated Father Freddie Alfonso. They hated him. Mm. The hate that I felt was second to the fear, the absolute fear. The voices that I started to hear, again, been checked out, been checked out and certifiably not insane. The voices that I started to hear were just unbelievable. I mean, did you ever hear a dog try to talk?
Oh, when they try, yeah. And they have a little conversation with you. Sure.
No.
Am I right? Or
okay. Well, okay.
Where you're going, or
and this happens when? No, I'm joking.
No. They talk.
Did you ever try to hear an animal talk? That's what it sounded like. An animal trying to make human speech. No, I do know. Yes, it's what I meant.
Okay.
And you hear that like that.
Yeah.
Similar to that, but just unnatural is what I'm driving at. Mm. Very unnatural sound. The fear was there. I went up. I actually remember getting angry at myself. I literally wanted to run. All thoughts inside of me said, run, get out. The fear, the cold, it just was like, run. But I got so stubborn because one of the reasons that I'm alive now still is because I am just stubborn. I will fight literally until I die. I will just fight till I die. Until you can no longer fight with me, I will do it. And I got mad, and I was like, I'm not going to let anything, I'm not going to let my own anxiety or my own craziness prevent me from getting a nice blessing. I mean, I'm half Irish and half Italian. You know, I had to get up there. Trust me, I had to get up to there and get that blessing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know how it is with the religion, and yeah. I mean, you're not Catholic, but let's just say they're similar, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very strong, very faith-driven. I didn't mean that as a joke. I meant that sincerely. Yeah. So I got up to him, and I stood there. And he walked over to me, and he looked at me, and he was this little man from Bombay, India. He was a very nice man. He was very quiet. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't talking in tongues. Nothing like that was going on. And I couldn't move. And I couldn't speak, and I was mortified. I can't even tell you how mortified I was. You know, if I could have juggled at that point, I would have juggled just to get the attention off of what was going on. Right. I was literally mortified. It was fear, hatred. I wanted to kill him, but it wasn't me. You see, and that's what happened. Whatever it was that was semi-controlling me or controlling a little too many areas of my life was now coming out to say, hey, I don't want you to take me out of this, girl. This has been years in the making, you know. He stood there and he recognized this man had such a gift, never was on TV, never wrote a book, and he had one of the biggest gifts I have ever seen in my life, ever. And he looked at me and he recognized it. And the feeling that I felt, and I wanted to mention this before, the feeling that I felt I don't ever want to feel it again as long as I live ever, of an entity looking out of my eyes at this priest in his eyes. And religion doesn't matter here because you can go to a rabbi, you can go to a Native American,
shaman.
What are they?
Medicine.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, medicine doctor, whatever. You can go to a Protestant minister. When somebody has a gift, they have a gift.
That's right. Agreed 100%.
Yeah, and he did. And he recognized it, and it, or they, I don't know, recognized him. Or they recognized God in him, is what they recognized, the gift. And he had this little relic, and he was standing there, and he said, come, you know, he was like gesturing, like, come on. And then literally he looked and something clicked, and I was like, oh my God, what was that? And I didn't like it, and I felt so bad at that moment in my life. I felt like it wasn't a thought, it was just like a realization, Brent, that something evil was in my life, and I really, really didn't want to acknowledge it, but I had to. And it made me feel so sad. I can't even tell you how sad it made me feel. And he said, she can't move. She has a demon around her. It's a demon. He knew it, and he said it. And at that point, and I'm going to have to say this, I'm just going to have to say it.
Please.
I was in front of the church, and within, I don't even know, I don't remember it. I do remember it, but I don't remember actually levitating. But they told me, there was people that were there that told me afterwards that I levitated from the front of the church to the back of the church and was on the floor. I was laying on the floor, and you have to understand that it was like there was something there controlling me to a certain degree, but yet I was still there. People say to me, Chrstine, what is it like to be partially possessed? Oh my God, that's so cool, dude. I mean, I get that a lot. You know, it's cool, dude. Yeah. Oh, seriously, seriously. And it's like, yes, it's not cool. You know, it's not cool. It was terrible. I can't even I know I keep saying that. I know I sound like a drama queen,
Not at all.
but it was just terrible.
It's hard to find words for the indescribable, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I probably should just finish the damn book, you know, because I can do that a lot better with my words than I can with my speaking. And I lay there, and I couldn't even imagine. I'm not somebody who wants to put on, well, I don't want to fall on the floor and drool. I mean, I don't do stuff like that, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit more private than that, and it was mortifying. So he came down to me, couldn't move, because whatever it was, I don't know how that went or why that went like that. I guess it was its time, and it knew it, and it couldn't move because the Spirit of God or the gift that the priest had, I'm just going to say God. I just have to say, give kudos where it's, and give credit where it's due. And he came over, and I remember pain like I thought, God, please don't. And I remember thinking, God doesn't like me. God really doesn't like me. God hurts. I remember thinking that, laying there thinking, like in that kind of your whole life flashes before your eyes time, laying there thinking, I'm laying on the floor. Get up off the floor. You look like a crazy woman. I can't get up off the floor. God really hates me. God really hurts me. I've had a crappy life. I've been a runaway. I've been homeless. I'm laying here, and now the last-ditch effort, the last resort of God and peace in my life, and he's rejecting me. And it really was, it hurt. It was like, oh, shit, you know? I mean, how did it come to this, where I have the last hope is not even going to take me? It's not even going to help me. So I remember a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, people running out. I remember men, there was probably like 6 or 7 men that had to hold me down, understanding that when you're mentally ill, that also can happen. This was prior to the petitioning of the exorcism, so they hadn't done any tests on me. And I remember the priest, Father Freddy, throwing scalding water on my face, and literally hearing like, could hear it. And I was yelling at him. I was like, why are you throwing burning water on me? It wasn't burning water. It was holy water. And I didn't even know what holy water was. I thought that he was throwing hot water in my face. I didn't know why, but I was getting burned. He came over to me, and he knelt down. I could still see his face. I can still see that his face was probably filled with more compassion than I'll ever see in my life. And he put his hand on my throat, and he said some prayers. And then somebody called an ambulance, and they took me in the ambulance. They took me away. I think he prayed with me for maybe 45 minutes. And then they took me away, and they took me into the psychiatric ward, because somebody had the great idea to say, well, she's got the devil in her, or something like that. And I said, yeah, why don't you tell him I'm Napoleon, too, and then we can really make a night of it, you know?
Oh, man.
But, so they put me into the hospital, and I remember this kid walked over to me. I had to sit there for until about 4 o'clock in the morning, and this guy walked over to me, and he said, how's it going? And I said, oh, yeah, real good, you know? And he said, oh, by the way, I want to introduce myself to you. I'm Jesus Christ. And I thought, kidding me. I mean, how much more ironic can you get? You know, how much more freaking ironic can you get that when I'm in the nut house, he's going to walk over to me and tell me he's Jesus Christ. But you never know, you know what I'm saying? So I shook his hand and I said, well, okay, thanks for the work you did before. I appreciate it. You know, I didn't really say that, but I think I said something like that.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, oh, let's just this is just fun. I wasn't even like, I was like 20 at the time or something, you know? Sitting there like, is this life over yet? So I literally had all the tests done. They couldn't keep me. There was nothing wrong with me. I said, I don't know what happened. I said, who the heck knows what happened? I told the psychiatrist, and I said, I have no idea. I had a bad night. I don't know. They couldn't keep me at that point, so I was leaving, and I went to the payphone. Remember those? I went to the payphone, and I called the priest. I found out where he was. This is where it's going to, hopefully it's not another commercial.
Nope.
I called him up, and I said, this is Chrstine, and I want to talk to Father Freddy. I said to him, I said, I don't know what happened, but you're crazy, and all I want to know is what did you do to my neck? What did you do to my neck? Because I was thinking of suing him. Because when I had left, I had gone in the bathroom to go to the bathroom, and there was a burn on my neck, like, you know, where you would put a tracheotomy?
Sure.
Right in that area. It was like the size of a quarter, and it was bruised on the outside and burned in the center. And I said, I want to know what you did to my neck. Why were you burning me with water? And what did you do with my neck? Because it didn't look like a hot, scalding burn. He said, I was blessing you with holy water, and all I did was place the holy relic on your neck to make the demon speak. I can't even tell you the feeling that went through my body, mind, and soul at that time. I can't even tell you. So I said, well, I'll call you back or something like that. I said, I gotta go. I gotta leave. He said, you need help. He said, Chrstine, you need help. You have something around you. It could be almost a full possession if you don't get help. I said, I don't even want to hear it. I said, I don't know what you did, but I didn't even know what a relic was. For anybody who doesn't know what a relic is, you don't know what you're missing. A relic is something that comes off of like a holy person. In this case, it was a relic from Garabandal, where the faithful believe that the Virgin Mother kissed something, and therefore it's very miraculous. It's very healing. And a lot of exorcists will have a relic of some holy object. So to say that it burned, and I didn't know, I had to figure that out over the years, but the fact that this was a nasty burn. This wasn't something I took lightly. So I went home. I was trying to sleep.
Did they treat it at all in the hospital?
The burn?
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave me some lotion or something. I don't even remember what they did, but it was like I think it was in the center, it was a 3rd degree. But they didn't know what it was. They had no idea what it was. They really were dumbfounded. But you know how it is. I mean, what are they going to do? They couldn't keep me in there as a psychiatric patient because I wasn't psychotic. Mm-hmm. They had no idea. They figured I just had an episode. I don't know what they wrote down. I don't want to know. Thank God I didn't room with Napoleon, you know. But I mean, Jesus was already in the waiting room. I mean, what the heck? Two birds with one stone. But you know, I got home and it was torment. It was literally torment. There was just voices. The voices wouldn't stop. It was like the cupboard was open. They were threatened. That was when they were threatened. And I noticed, though, after I saw him again, to make a long story short, I saw him again, and I did have him pray over me again about a week or week and a half later. And after that, my psychic abilities increased about like 90 times more than they had. Because when I had the demonic influence around me, mm-hmm. They don't like psychic abilities. I will say that. They do not like psychic abilities. They don't like any of that type of thing. That's why a lot of psychic mediums have spiritual problems. Not because they're demonic, but because the demonic... And you can send your letter of complaint to ChristineCorda@yahoo.com, because you know I'm going to get them, right? The demonic... I get a lot of...
Oh, I know. I've seen them on YouTube.
Yeah, you saw my comments, or I gave up on that.
Yeah.
But
you have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, I think.
Yeah.
YouTube. Yeah.
I know. But yeah, so it freed me up so that there was enough enough that my abilities really got honed. Honed.
Mm.
Now I'm going to spell for everybody. I sounded like I said homed. I meant honed.
No,
increased.
Right. And focused.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they would, and I remember driving in the car and praying and saying, you know, there would be, I mean, I would see people who had passed away, you know, and I would see people who had passed away and were angry. I would see people who had passed away and were desperate. People who had passed away who were confused. People who, you know, and I at that point, I didn't know how to really take it. I didn't really know. I was overwhelmed. And after he prayed, it got to the point where I was able to start to recognize the angelic. And it's because my vibration before that was so low that I couldn't recognize it. It was impossible for me to recognize.
What happened after that led to somebody petitioning for the exorcism?
Oh, yes. Well, I had, unfortunately, something happened to me again that I'm not going to get into.
Okay.
But there was you know, when you have something that's ripped out of you like that, mm-hmm. even though it's demonic, it's still part of a person. And if you read in the Bible where it says if your house is swept and cleaned, you know, what is it? I can't think of it. I'm going to paraphrase badly.
That's fine. I can't.
You know what I mean? Where it says, you get your house in order, or 7 demons will come back for the one that left. When you have something that's there, that's a part of you, you have to replace it with something. Mm. So essentially what happened to me is that I was not replacing it with anything. I didn't have those ego boundaries. I didn't have that energy, the aura. My aura had the chunks in it, the holes in it. So they were able to, not as fully as they were before, but they were able to come in. And the environment that I was living in was very negative. So they were just right at home. So after Father Freddie left, I met Ed Warren, mm-hmm. Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Sure.
And I don't even think they helped me petition. It was a friend of mine that I met through one of the healing services that Father Freddie did. And he later went on to later become a priest. Haven't heard from him in years, but and he helped me a lot. Father Freddie, before he went back to India, he tried to get the Bridgeport diocese to help, but they didn't want any part of me.
Really?
Very politically driven.
So you must have felt all alone, and you know, not even God wanted.
I was alone. I didn't feel alone. I was alone.
You were alone.
I was completely alone. But then I went, and it took from 1985. Incidentally, it took from 1985 till 1991.
Wow.
6 years. 6 years, probably more like 6.5 years. Every time I went in, Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren did help me when I went to the Hartford Diocese to have the roundtable discussion, I suppose is the best way I can put it.
Okay. With
the bishops and all those people. What a fun crowd that was. You know, and to petition them and say, this is what's going on. And they fought for me. Ed and Lorraine Warren did fight for me. So, after that, it was until 1991, and then when the exorcism happened, there was an issue with, let me just put it for what it is. Ed Warren wanted me to share my story. He wanted to make a book and a movie about me. And I said no. And he didn't like that.
Oh.
And so, no, he didn't like it at all. He wanted that because he made movies. He's made movies on Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
What's the other one? The Conjuring.
That's right.
Different
Just
movies
came
like
out
that.
A year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what he wanted to do with me. And I said, no, this is my life. This is my pain. I'm not a movie. And I mean, people think I'm crazy. They're like, what are you, nuts? Yeah, probably, but I'm not going to die and face God and say I sold out. I will not do that. I won't do it.
Good for you.
And he got pretty angry about it. And so the priest that was the exorcist at that time, mm-hmm. he has since passed away. I honestly don't think that he was capable of doing that. And I know that sounds wrong, but what I had around me was years of influence and years of energy. And he had, I mean, he was the only exorcist in the Hartford Diocese for many years. Many, many years. I mean, literal, real Satan worshipers, and I'm not going to get into the PC crap. I'm sorry for using language.
That's fine.
He had people that they would have his statues in his church. Oh, God, I mean, things that were, they would cut sheep up and put, penises on the Virgin Mary statues, like you see in the movie The Exorcist.
Right.
It was just despicable. It's not like this fun, let's go out and have a gun filled with holy water and, a water pistol filled with holy water. It's terrible. It's really terrible.
It's
Every type of human wrong that you can think of and then some is what it makes up. That's what makes it up. Those beings. So after that, he just stopped. He'd started the prayer, it hurt. Mm-hmm. The prayers hurt. It burned. But then it was maybe 6-7 hours of prayer that I only remember maybe an hour of. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess
and then I was out of it.
Completely. Now, you say it burned. Did it burn again on your throat?
I don't know if it just burned. It burned.
Okay.
You ever lose someone that you love, they die?
Yeah.
And that feeling of terrible grief. It felt like that, magnified 1,000 times. And I'm not
1,000,000,000 times.
Yeah, taking anything away from people who lose their families, but. Mm-hmm. And then he left. He said, "I'm done." And people who were with me were like, "What? You can't leave this woman like this." They left me, they brought me home. I was home. There was attacks on me. It literally felt like I had something crawling around in my ear. That's how bad it was. I went to sleep. I was literally left alone in my apartment. There was growling going on in the little crawl space behind the refrigerator that a friend of mine was trying to determine what it was. I said, "What do you think it is? I mean, let's be real here. What do you think it is?" I had to fall asleep. I woke up. Here we go again. I mean, there was feces all over the wall. And sure, there was, I don't even want to, there just was, I don't know how I didn't die. That's what I will say. After that, my life fell apart to the point where that was in I'm going to say 91, 92. By the time 1995 rolled around, I was drinking literally every minute of the day, doing drugs. Mm-hmm. Couldn't care less about anything. I was literally trying to kill myself without the overdose, just to let it happen, but certainly quicken it. And then I got pregnant with my oldest daughter in 1995, and that was my savings grace right there, because I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want to damage the baby, the unborn baby, mm-hmm. with drinking or any kind of drug use. And so after that, it's over the years of learning to use my abilities more, mm-hmm. and to connect with those gifts, and to understand that after that long of being told that I was evil, finally, liberating myself from that and saying, "No, I'm not. I'm not an evil person. I didn't deserve this. I didn't abuse myself in my childhood." Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So I had to free myself from the church to get free.
Are you free now?
I'm free. I'm free. I'm not living under the influence of anything. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Mm-hmm. I certainly have the battle scars. I have bad spinal issues. I have bad issues with pain in my neck. I know that sounds kind of funny, but physical attacks have taken their toll, and certainly when you have any type of interference of an entity within your chakras. I know I'm going from one religion to another. Holy moly.
We're right with you. We're
all eclectic here.
Yeah, one and the same. Don't worry about that.
But you can call it chakras, you can call it something else. Just it disturbs everything. When your soul is sick, it disturbs your body and your mind and et cetera, et cetera. So over the years I've had just terrible health problems, but you know what? I mean, I have 2 beautiful daughters, and I won. I will sit here and I will say today that I won. I didn't lose. I won big time. I didn't go down the drain in 1985. I came out of it.
Do you remember that exact moment when the demons actually left you once and for all? Or was it a gradual thing?
It was a gradual thing, but I remember one leaving, and I remember my hair moving. One came out of the top of my head, where I believe that's your crown chakra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one came out the top of my head, and my hair was like, literally, it was like a wind, and I remember the priest saying, "I see it." He saw it. Literally saw it, like, and I looked out. I don't even want it. Sounds like I'm nuts. I'm telling you. I know exactly what it sounds like. Is that lady crazy? This lady crazy. I can hear the, people say to me all the time, but I remember him saying he and I felt it at the time that he saw it. So it was certainly validated. But over the years, they do come back. They do come around. And it's a constant battle. It's not one thing. It's not something that you can get rid of in the snap of a finger. It's something that we always have to be working on.
Do you feel that the more holy you are, the more under attack you are?
I'm not holy. let's get that right there. I'm holy. There's no holiness here, okay?
I guess I'm talking
Grace
about
of God.
I'm talking about universal balance.
No, I know, but I just don't want to think I'm holy.
Okay.
There's no burning bush in my backyard. I mean, no in my left, but it rain or something,
Oh,
But bush would start on fire.
oh, Chrstine, you're so cute. Do you think that's part and parcel of it? Because you're so spiritual now and you're so connected, if you will, and you're doing, I think, God's work. Do you think this is probably why they come around you and try to attack you and pull you down?
Yes, they do that for everyone. For everyone. They will try to cause battles. They will try to cause separation. They will try to cause dissension and disunity in the ranks.
Yeah.
That's what I don't know why though, and that's lately what I've been trying to figure out, whether I'm supposed to know that or not. I have gotten very close to my guides, very close to my guardian angels, and sometimes they will have to yell at me, say, "Hey, don't you remember this?" Because there is still some torment. Certain situations will happen, and then you have to meditate, you have to pray, you have to have some sense of God. It's very imperative to have a good spiritual life, to have some faith.
Something bigger than yourself.
You have to believe in something. You have to believe in something. I don't tell people what to believe in. I will not do that. I won't tell people what religion to be or not to be. Oh, wow. I won't tell them to read Shakespeare either. But,
I hear you.
You have to have some kind of faith. You have to believe in something, especially when stuff like that happens.
Chrstine, I'm going to tell folks who we're speaking with, but when we come back, in 30 seconds after I finish my little blurby thing, okay. I want to go in the direction of where you are now and the blessings that have been put upon you, if you will. Folks, we're speaking with Chrstine Corda tonight. Heavy show. As fans of this show will know, this is where we go with Night Fright. No messing around. This is where we go. Chrstine Corda, of course, for fans of this show will know that 5 years ago she was on the show, and she underwent a fully sanctioned Roman Catholic exorcism that was never completed, but the demons have left, and she's turned her life around. Easy way to get her contact information, and easy way to go and listen to her show, which is on www.blogtalkradio.com/Kiss Me, I'm Psychic. And of course, folks, I will put that on the www.nightfrightshow.com website. Just click on Christine's picture, and that'll take you right to her blog spot as well. Okay, Chrstine, where are you now 5 years later?
I'm in a good place. I'm in a very good place. I would like to be in a better place in the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to share with you a parable, if I might. Of course I might. I remember I used to go into church. I go into any church. I don't care. I am not partial to any one religion.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I just think that I love people. Yeah. I love people. And I would go into church a lot, and I would just sit, and I would feel the pain of being in a church, and I would just think, and I would pray, cry, try to figure out what I was going to do. And there was a lot of times that I went into a church and I would shake my fist at God and say, what the hell? Why did you cast me? Why do you hate me? Why do you burn me? Why am I living on the street again? Why am I living out of my car? Why do I have to live like this? Everything I did was would collapse, you know? Mm-hmm. I'd get 5 steps forward and now I'm going 6 back. And it was back and forth and back and forth. And I guess I would curse God, you know? Mm. And I think that sometimes we can go into church and we can, I would go into church and I would say, why did you let this happen to me? Mm-hmm. And then one day I went into church and I said, thank you for letting this happen to me. Because if it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't understand that people do things out of their own pain. And maybe, just maybe, because God gave me this strength and this probably stupidity to keep going. Some part of it has to be stupidity. I can't imagine
stubbornness. I don't think it's stupidity.
I think it's stubbornness, but that can also be stupid.
Not necessarily in your case, I don't think.
But thank you for that. But I mean, sometimes it's like one day I walked in and I said thank you, because now I finally get it. You know, now I finally get it, that there's darkness in everybody's life, and you can try to go around it, you can try to go above it, you can try to go underneath it. People don't want to go through that darkness. And so I went through it. And it taught me a lot. Things that I wouldn't know. The fact that people come to me and I see their loved ones who have passed away. I don't like to do medium readings, by the way. I really don't. And I see them, and I tell mothers who have lost their children, you know what, your son is right here, your daughter's right here, and this is what they say. And people feel better. They write to me, they email me, and they say, wow, I feel better. I read reviews about myself on bestpsychicdirectory.com, which isn't my own website, by the way. Mm-hmm. And the things that I just gave his website a plug. People give me reviews that are touching to me because I'm changing something. I'm not just making money, but I will not apologize for profiting from my gifts either. Prospering from my gifts, because I have to live.
Absolutely not. You got to put food on the table.
I have to live.
Absolutely.
You know? And I think that's where I'm at now. Starting a book, finishing the book that's been going on for the last 7 years. Couple of things with the radio show are going very well.
Congratulations.
Couple of questions with television appearances, but I'm hesitant about that because I don't want to be a movie of the week. You know what I'm saying? This is my movie of the week.
I got you.
And just trying to lead people to understand, and going in the direction of more of a motivational speaker, to be honest with you.
Okay, let's talk about that. What type of motivation, if people approach you and say, okay, geez, you know, we need a motivational speaker, what type of motivation would you give them?
That they can get through anything. That there's power within us. That there's power within us.
Is the light brighter now that you've been through the darkness? It makes it that much more brighter?
Yeah, the light was always bright. Mm-hmm. You know, the light was always bright. It wasn't God who was mean. It was myself who didn't understand. It wasn't that God was being mean. It was that I didn't understand what was going on. And I think that when you get to the point where, you know, there's reasons for everything. And if you read about Buddhists, you read about the way that Buddhists think, and if you explore religion, you explore different religions and the practices that people do, and how they believe that it's not what we don't have in the world that makes us feel suffering, it's what we think we want. That makes our lives worse. And I think that's what it makes me think of my life. I thought I wanted peace and joy and happiness, but I didn't understand that in order to get it, I had to go through some things that were dark. People would say terribly dark, but to me, I say, no, they weren't so dark. They weren't so dark. They were good. Thank you, God. The fact that I can sit here and say, thank you, God, for that happened to me makes me kind of scared. You know, makes me kind of scared. And I hope to inspire people to understand that there's power within us all, and that one day you could be eating out of the garbage can and begging on the street, and the next year you can have a nice little house in the city, and you can be inspiring people. It's possible. That's what I want to tell people.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted people to get from this show tonight. You can go through the depths of virtually hell and come out the other side and really transcend all that to goodness. Chrstine, do you fear going back into the darkness again, or do you pretty much feel that's over?
I don't want to go into the darkness again, ever. I don't care what I've learned of it. No, I don't want to go into it again.
Have you followed up with the church? Has the church ever followed up with you to try and, create some kind of symbiotic relationship where they can come to you with it for advice? Nothing like that, eh?
No.
Okay.
No, they've done a lot to cover it up.
Really?
How does that happen?
Yeah.
How does that happen? The church covering up stuff.
Yeah,
but again, I don't want to. Yeah, I guess I do want to judge because children to me are precious.
Yeah, me too.
And you don't mess around with that. But the church is the best place to go. You see, I didn't have any family supporting me in that. If you have family when you're supporting you with an exorcism or any help from the church, it's going to go a lot better. If you're going alone, it's going to go harder. It's going to be harder. But if you want to get help, go to the Catholic Church because they have the doctors. They have the tests. I mean, they tested me for years. Psychiatric tests.
Can you tell us maybe just one of the tests that they put you through?
Oh, my gosh. CAT scan, MRI.
Wow.
Heart, what's that thing? They stick those things on your chest.
Yeah.
The thing that they stuck the things on my head.
Mm-hmm. ESG.
EKG, EEGs.
Yeah.
All those psychiatric. I was in hospital twice, to go in for a week to be observed. Literally, they took the data from those doctors. Oh no, they don't mess around.
They don't.
If there was anything they were going to intern, they would have found it.
Now I have to ask you this. It's a bit of a levitation question, if you will. But in Canada, we have Medicare. Did they turn around and hand you a bill in the United States for this?
They did.
My God.
Yeah, they did.
The chutzpah.
No, the church didn't. The hospitals did.
Did you pass it on to the church?
I did not pass it on to the church. No.
Wow.
I prayed to St. Jude. No. I think that at that point, I did have insurance through the jobs that I held and through my family, so it was eventually paid off. But I had some pretty darn good bills.
I bet.
I considered suing them for a while. I considered suing them. I did meet with a lawyer, and then I just that was a hard one because you think of money, we think of money, and we think, hey, let's run around and beat each other over the head for this little green paper, or whatever color it is in your neck of the woods. And I thought of it, and then I thought, no, don't want to do that. Don't want to set that example. And so I had to. It took a long time because I have bitter sour grapes still. But it took. I had to understand. I had to sit down and say, wow. They had their own reasons. I know The Exorcist. The Exorcist probably he didn't probably had some serious backlash. Anytime you go up against any type of negative energy that has any type of entity around it, you're going to get backlash. And it's hard if you're doing that on a daily basis. Oh my gosh.
Are there any movies out there that you feel may accurately show exactly? I'm not talking about the original Exorcist movie, with the green coming out of her mouth and all that stuff. Obviously, that was dramatized. Is there any other? I'm thinking of the one with Anthony Hopkins. That was actually 5 years ago. We talked about this too.
Place that movie.
Yeah. Is there any depictions out there that you think are kind of accurate?
They overdo it.
Yeah, of course they got to dramatize it.
They do. I think that what was that movie where the Exorcism of Emily Rose?
Yeah, I
it took me
that one.
3 or 4 sittings to watch that movie. It was very real. I saw people when I don't want to say the name, but the priest, but in my ministry, I guess I can call it. I don't know. I've seen people levitate. I've seen people talk with 2 or 3 voices coming out of their mouth at the same time. The head, the body making these unbelievable bendy movements. I don't know, contortions and stuff. So I think that the Exorcism of Emily Rose was about the closest that I've ever seen. There was just a feeling about that movie that was incredibly accurate.
Is there, because you have such an important message, because you have such an important story, and I think this is, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I think this is why God chose you. I think other people would have faltered. Is there any possibility that besides a book you might consider having that turned into a film, provided it was done under your guidance, if you will, without over-dramatization?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there is. Okay, good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would very much like to. I would very much like to. The book is pretty much done. It's a question of a publisher. Mm-hmm. I won't self-publish. I refuse. I don't know why. It's probably dumb. But
I don't think you're going to have trouble. You know, if you need some publishers' names and stuff, I'd be happy to give them to you off air. I think they would actually just come screaming and running at you. So I don't.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to worry about that.
If you have anybody, send them to me, please, because that would be great.
Will do. Yeah, I'll give you those off air. I won't do that on air.
Yeah, I mean, I called Steven Spielberg, and he says maybe a couple years, you know.
You just remind him he's going to do the music for the film, okay? Yours truly.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You have awesome music, too.
Thank you.
As long as I get to sing.
There you go. Why not? Yeah. Here's a joke. What voice would you pick?
Well, I never got lonely.
Yeah. Oh, gee. I'm so glad you.
That would be, if I sang on the movie, that would be proof of the demonic right there.
Chrstine, we've only got 2 minutes left, but now I'm going to hear that darn music again. Biggest blessing of your life?
My children. I learned a lot of love and forgiveness through my children, of myself and other people.
That's beautiful. Are they religious at all? Are they spiritual? I guess they follow in their mom's steps, do they?
Both gifted. Both gifted. Both gifted, yeah. Different ways.
We got one last... We only got a few minutes, caller. Are you there?
Yeah. How's it going?
Good, how are you? Could you get your first name?
Brian, how are you? Hey,
good, Brian.
We're talking about demonic entities.
Where are you, Brian?
I'm right here in Everett, Washington.
Oh,
can you misdiagnose those sometimes? I mean, can they be misdiagnosed and say, oh, you're a demon, and then, well, no, it's actually just maybe some telepathic chicanery or mischievousness or something like that by human beings that are actually alive walking around? I think that may be it. You think? I mean, I think I was misdiagnosed at one time, you know, with something like that, or people were trying to exorcise me, and I think, well, it's like, no, there's nothing in me. You're just talking to me. It's just me here. Now, right now, there's someone that kind of hangs around. I don't think this person's I don't think she's...
Okay. I'm going to let Chrstine answer because we've only got 30 seconds left.
Yeah,
right,
well, yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
No.
Yes, there can be misdiagnosis. That's why it's really important to get into a church or a paranormal group that does a lot of research.
Well, a
lot of research.
I want to, we've only got a few seconds left, so I'm sorry to cut you off there, Brian. We'll try and get you in next time for sure. I want to thank Brian for sure for just calling from Washington, Jim from Utah, and of course Chrstine Corda, our guest tonight. I'm Brent Holland from Night Fright. You can reach Chrstine through my website, which is www.nightfrightshow.com. Any emails or anything like that, plus her contact information will be right there. What's your next show on, Chrstine?
What topic?
Yeah.
Hopefully you.
If I ever get this darn book out, my publisher keeps telling me it's gone to print, it's going to be shipped, it's gone to print, but this has been going on now for over 6 months, so I
have a lot of good guests. I get a lot of good, interesting guests. Could be about children who have had near-death experiences to UFOs, you name it.
Yeah. That's great. Folks, Chrstine Corda, I want to thank you so much, Chrstine, for coming on the air.
Thank you, Brent.
You take care. All
Always
the very
a pleasure.
best. God bless everybody.